The Venezuelan foreign minister has said her country is a victim of international bullying as a political and economic crisis grows. Delcy Rodriguez was speaking at the General Assembly of the Organization of American States, OAS. International pressure is building on Venezuela to resolve its problems. Supplies of food and medicine are running short, with the opposition blaming President Nicolas Maduro's socialist government. On May 2, opposition leaders handed the National Electoral Council, CNE, a petition with almost 2 million signatures demanding that a referendum be held to recall Mr. Maduro. After a series of delays and cancelled meetings, the CNE announced on Friday that its scrutiny of the signatures suggested that 600,000 of them were fraudulent. But even with those 600,000 signatures deducted, the opposition has more than 6 times the number of signatures needed at this early stage of the process. The CNE announced that the remaining 1.3 million signatories would be asked to verify their identities by having their fingerprints checked at CNE offices between 20 and 24 of June. But on Monday the government asked the Supreme Court to reject the petition, alleging widespread fraud. The government has also said that it will not hold the referendum this year. The timing of the referendum is key. If it is held by January 10, 2017 and President Maduro loses, a new election will be called. If it is held after that date and the vote goes against him, his vice president, who is loyal to Mr. Maduro, will take over and remain in power until the end of the presidential term, in January 2019. Speaking at the OAS General Assembly in the Dominican capital, Santo Domingo, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry called on the Venezuelan government to honor its own constitutional mechanisms by allowing a fair and timely recall referendum. He said he was joining OAS Secretary General Luis Almagro and other international leaders in calls for President Maduro to release political prisoners, respect freedom of expression and assembly, and alleviate shortages of food and medicine. Ms. Rodriguez responded by saying that Venezuela's internal affairs would be settled by Venezuelans. She also hit out at Mr. Almagro, whom she again accused of being an agent of Washington. Mr. Almagro earlier this month asked for an emergency OAS meeting to be held to discuss the crisis in Venezuela. In a 132-page letter, Mr. Almagro argued that Venezuela had suffered an unconstitutional alteration of the constitutional regime that seriously impairs the democratic order. Before the session, U.S. officials had told news agencies that Mr. Kerry and Ms. Rodriguez would hold a meeting on the sidelines of the summit. It is not clear if that meeting will now go ahead.